Look, most of this is a result of American disengagement and withdrawal, but when you see what happens when America engages, you wonder whether we shouldn't have more disengagement. Look at the wreckage that Kerry has done in intervening in the Israeli-Gaza fighting. He decides he has to go. The Israelis did not invite him. The Egyptians did not want him. And he says he advanced a peace plan that was sort of building on the Egyptian one. It didn't at all. It undermined it. I think there was a left-wing Israeli paper that said Kerry had dug a tunnel under the Egyptian peace plan. Egypt wanted a ceasefire in place, which means no reward for Hamas starting this war by attacking the civilians, which is a war crime. And that was proposed before the ground incursion. The casualties would have been infinitely lower. Israel accepted, Hamas said no. Kerry goes over, and then he negotiates in Paris, with Qatar and Turkey, and returns essentially as the lawyer for Hamas, hands Israel a proposition that is so outrageous that the cabinet votes 19-0 against it. Israeli cabinets have never voted 19-0 on whether the sun rises in the east. It was unbelievable. It would have given Hamas all of its demands. As a result, and there's one thing he doesn't seem to understand. There's a miracle happening in the Middle East, which is a tacit alliance between Israel, Egypt, Jordan, the Palestinian Authority of all people, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and the Gulf Arabs, all of the moderates, all of our friends, who want to see Hamas squeezed, who supported the Arab League, supported the Egyptian peace plan. And this entirely undermines it. It's a peace plan that all the Arabs had supported, and this undermines it. If I could add one point. The Palestinian Authority leader attacked the plan and said, what was Kerry doing in Paris, negotiating with Qatar and with Turkey and leaving out the PA and leaving out Egypt?
If you take a look at a Jerusalem Post poll, respected pollster over there, about this ceasefire and the possibility of one, 86.5% oppose this deal just over the past couple of days. You were going to say?
Well, first, I'd love to hear more on how this century-old conflict is all John Kerry's fault. But look, there's no doubt that Israel must fight hard, but it also must fight smart. There's no doubt that Israel has a right and an obligation to defend itself against terrorists who want to wipe it away from the map. But Israel's leaders also have to realize that the world is changing, and it's changing in ways that's going to make it harder for Israel to maintain its political and moral authority, and going to be able to maintain the narrative that it's had on its side for so long. You have demography moving against Israel. Look at it in this country. 25% of young Americans think that Israel is acting wrong right now. 25%. Only 25%. I'm sorry, only 25% support Israel, which is a scary thing, I would think, for anybody who supports Israel in the future.
Well, and also, he's not saying that John Kerry caused the problem. He's saying that by doing this deal with Qatar and Turkey with Hamas talking points, it was not a good thing for the U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Also, I have to say, I don't think what young people think or don't think about the situation is how we measure this. I mean, I am absolutely, as everyone here knows, I think very focused on humanitarian rights and very concerned about how Palestinians live. But at the same time, what would you have Israel do in this situation? I mean, they're supposed to just sit and wait for terrorists to come through these... Hold on. Are they supposed to wait for them to come through these tunnels and blow up 1,000 people? I mean,
you have to defend yourself.
At some point, they have to get rid of these tunnels, right? Right. So how is... I don't understand. How is John Kerry getting them any closer to that? And how is all of these people saying that they, don't want them to be doing what they're doing, these polls? I don't understand how that gets them any closer to protecting their own people.
Israel's got to take care of business right now, but then Israel also has to realize that it has to break out of this cycle, or otherwise it's going to learn the long-term cycle.
You can perhaps...
You can't play whack-a-mole
with the Palestinian Authority, perhaps. But with Hamas, which openly says that it wants the eradication of Israel and the killing of all Jews, if you read its charter, your hair will stand on end. You cannot negotiate and you cannot let up. And the problem I have with what Kerry did, he doesn't understand how the moderate Arabs have lined up behind squeezing Hamas, trying to make it lose power, so that the PA can end up in Gaza.
In part because Hamas is the Muslim Brotherhood, and the Muslim Brotherhood is a threat to a lot of these countries, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, others.
And their pledge isn't only to, of course, destroy Israel, but it's to radicalize and to turn all these states into jihadi states, and that's why Egypt is against it and all our allies. Why does he undermine an alliance of moderate Arabs and Israel when all he had to do was stay in Washington and say we support and insist on the Arab League peace plan?
Well,
how could you go wrong with that?
I apologize. I misunderstood you. If your argument was, now I understand it, was that John Kerry, once again, the administration once again, is perceiving the world the way it wants to be rather than the way it is, I agree with that. I was trying to make a broader point.
Okay.
And we're not going to solve the whole thing at this panel anyway.
Well,
so let's
give me a minute and a half.
If I had cut him off, he would have.
Next up is